Thank you for joining us for this look at some of the best stories from KPBS News this week. I'm Jacob Air. Coming up, school is back in session and it comes with a big change at San Diego Unified. Learn more about the new smartphone policy that cuts down on screen time. Then, the end of an era in Imperial Valley. A hub for jobs and agriculture is shutting down and dealing the region an economic blow. Plus haircuts and healing. See how a barber in Vista is using the skill to change young lives. We start in El Cajon, where there's tension over immigrant sanctuary laws. Earlier this year, the City Council passed a resolution declaring its support for President Trump's deportation campaign. But KPBS reporter Gustavo Solis says some residents are pushing back.
When I talk to people about what's happening in El Cajon, like the words fractured, fearful come up. And I think also just this feeling that there is some sense of hopelessness.
That's Viveka Ray Mazumdar, an immigration advocate with PANA. El Cajon is a city where nearly a third of all residents are foreign-born, and a Republican mayor eager to support President Donald Trump's mass deportation campaign. In January, Mayor Bill Wells introduced a resolution declaring the city's intent to help the federal government enforce immigration law. The resolution was political theater. The El Cajon Police Department must still obey state sanctuary laws, which prohibit police officers from asking people about their immigration status or helping federal immigration agents. But the mayor's message was clear. El Cajon is either with Trump or against him.
Now, let me tell you what I think is really going on here. I don't think this is about immigration. I don't think this is about racism. This is Trump versus non-Trump. This is progressivism versus conservatism. This is the cultural war that we're involved in right now.
That was Wells at a January city council meeting. At a separate meeting, Councilman Phil Ortiz argued that Trump was only going after violent criminals.
I want to be clear, the people who should be, someone said they're going to be living in fear. The only people that should be living in fear are people who are exploiting and terrorizing our communities that are criminals, whether they're citizens or not.
That rhetoric comes straight out of the Trump administration, saying ICE agents are prioritizing the worst of the worst. But it's becoming increasingly clear that undocumented immigrants without criminal records are getting caught in the deportation machine. Only 23% of the people ICE has arrested in El Cajon so far this year have criminal convictions. That's according to the Deportation Data Project. And the most recent data from the Otay Mesa Detention Center show that 80% of the people being held there have no criminal record. Mariene Branham, founder of a local advocacy group called Latinos en Acción, says the controversial resolution created the impression that local police officers support Trump's immigration policies, that they're enforcing immigration law, even though they're not.
So I just think it's really unfair to have put the police chief in this situation and to put the police officers in this light that they technically didn't deserve.
And the El Cajon police chief, Jeremiah Larson, acknowledges that community trust for the department has taken a hit.
We try and do, a lot of different things to help build the trust back, the trust that has been eroded for certain members of our community.
Larson says part of the problem is that people tend to lump all law enforcement agencies together.
It's hard for some members of the community to see a delineation between federal law enforcement and local law enforcement, or, state and local. Even within the county, it's hard for people to understand there's a difference between San Diego PD and Chula Vista PD and El Cajon PD. Not everyone understands that, and that's okay. It's our job to make sure we communicate that with the public.
Chief Larson says the department recently brought back a community advisory board and will meet with members of the public on a regular basis. Meanwhile, the city council continues to pass pro-Trump resolutions, including one in March, supporting federal legislation introduced by Republicans in Texas trying to weaken state sanctuary laws throughout the country. And ICE continues to increase enforcement in El Cajon, already doubling the number of arrests compared to last year, including a high-profile workplace raid at an industrial paint shop. But Branham and other advocates have their own plans for the city council. Latinos en Acción launched a recall campaign against Councilman Ortiz.
We want to push for a new election. We want people to know who Phil Ortiz is, who he stands with, and if his district is mostly blue but is ignored when they come to these city council meetings, that's the reason why we're pushing for that recall.
The group is currently collecting signatures to force a recall election. They need 3,000 from registered voters in District 4. which is the southern part of El Cajon. Gustavo Solis, KPBS News.
Gustavo Solis is the investigative border reporter for KPBS. He's done extensive work in recent months on immigration. You can find more of his content at kpbs.org and the KPBS YouTube page. President Donald Trump says his administration is going to take care of Afghan allies who fled Taliban rule after the U.S. left Afghanistan. KPBS military and veterans reporter Andrew Dyer says what's being done and what's being said are two different things.
All right, thank you so much. My name is Mohammed Rahimi. I am a proud Afghan American.
Mohammed Rahimi was an attorney in Afghanistan where he worked with the U.S. Army. He settled in El Cajon more than a decade ago and is now a U.S. citizen. Rahimi works with Afghan immigrants, so he paid close attention when Trump was asked last month about resettling hundreds or thousands of Afghans who helped U.S. soldiers during the war.
We know the good ones and we know the ones that maybe aren't so good. You know, some came over that aren't so good. And we're going to take care of those people, the ones that did a job, the ones that were told certain things.
But Rahimi says Trump's words are at odds with the community's experience since he took office.
It doesn't make sense because we see one thing, we hear one thing from the president, but we see something different actually in everyday life. If President Trump really means that he wants to support these Afghan allies, then why we don't see it right now?
Advocates say they're frustrated by the administration's suspension of refugee travel and its shuttering of the Afghan relocation office in the State Department.
It's a gut punch because you look at all this work that was done over the course of the last few years.
Until this year, Jessica Bradley Rushing was a deputy director in that office, the State Department's coordinator for Afghan relocation efforts, better known as CARE.
CARE, the office within the State Department, was such a unique place because it was an operation, right? It wasn't just a policy desk that talked about theory. We were physically engaged in relocating folks and changing their lives.
The administration told Congress in June it was shuttering the CARE office within a month. Its staffers were reportedly among the more than 1,300 department employees laid off July 11th. And it's not just the shuttering of one office. Sean Van Diver is the co-founder of nonprofit Afghan Evac. Since 2021, his organization, nonprofits, and many government officials have worked together to help the hundreds of thousands left behind in Afghanistan. But now,
think about what they've done since January 20th, right? On day one, they shut down refugee processing, which means no active duty U.S. military families, no lawyers and prosecutors who put the Taliban away, no female tactical platoon commanders, nobody who wasn't a direct employee of the United States. No family reunifications, no relocation flights. They have ended TPS, they ended parole, both CBP-1 parole they terminated, OAW, Operation Allies Welcome parole, they're just going to let it expire.
So what is the Trump administration's plan for Afghans? Getting a straight answer to that question has been challenging. A State Department spokesperson says the functions of the CARE office now fall under the Office of Afghanistan Affairs, its reorganization, part of its new America First foreign policy. We asked to interview Mary Bishoping, the Deputy Assistant Secretary of South and Central Asian Affairs, and Spencer Cretin, the senior official in the department's Refugee and Migration Bureau. Both requests were denied. A senior White House official tells KPBS special immigrant visas are being processed with hundreds of decisions every week, and that TPS, temporary protected status, was always meant to be temporary, and that those who've lost it can still request asylum. Rahimi says arrests of asylum seekers outside immigration courtrooms have shaken the Afghan community.
On a daily basis, I have conversations with many Afghan members, not only here in El Cajon or San Diego or California, but from across the country, that they are asking me that they have their appointment, but what is my answer to them? How can they go to their appointments, finish the appointment, and leave the courthouse safely without being detained? We have no answer.
One answer came last week in San Diego. More than a dozen veterans attended an immigration hearing alongside a former Afghan journalist. Marine combat veteran Jonathan Liu was one of them.
And I believe this is important work that we're doing as far as standing by the allies who stood by us. We shouldn't be turning their backs on them.
The real face of immigrants, and especially Afghan immigrants, they are people who supported this country. Before coming to the United States, they fought for this country, for the values that this country is based on. They fought for our future, for the future of this country. They fought against our enemies.
Andrew Dyer, KPBS News.
That was part one of a two-part report by Andrew Dyer, who covers military issues for KPBS. This week, Andrew also covered the return of the USS Carl Vinson to San Diego after an extended deployment in the Pacific and the Middle East. You can watch that story on the KPBS YouTube page. Summer break is over for the county's largest school district. San Diego Unified welcomed back thousands of students on Thursday. KPBS education reporter Katie Anastas visited a middle school in Bay Terraces for the first day.
Bell Middle School students arrived for the first day of class. They picked up their class schedules and said goodbye to their parents. Christopher Palmer was ready for his first day of 6th grade.
I get to see my old friends, some.
The move from elementary to middle school can be a big change. Superintendent Fabiola Bagula says that transition deserves more attention from district leaders.
I pay attention to middle school data, and what I see is actually their academics take a dip right when they enter middle school and also right when they enter high school. So this particular group on both ends take a dip before any transition, and they also have an increase of behavior issues.
Bagula says Bell Middle School has done a lot to support its students. One example is the Wellness Center. It's a place where students can relax and talk to a trusted adult. They also refer families to community resources. Nereida Rivera coordinates the center. She says for some kids, it's a place to go if they're struggling at home.
It's not so much the fault of the parent, that's just the situation they're in, you know? The parent has to work 3 jobs, and sometimes this really is the only place that another adult can really sit down and really see who they are.
The district has also expanded middle school sports over the last 4 years. Lonnie Jones coordinates the program, and he says it makes a difference.
One of the things that I personally take pride in is when I hear our administrators say that campus culture at middle schools have changed. A little more maturity now. Kids are now telling their friends, hey, throw your trash away. Hey, watch your language. Because they understand that playing sports and any after-school activity is a privilege, not a right.
This year is also the first with a district-wide cell phone policy. Students at Bell and other middle schools have to keep their phones turned off and stored away for the whole school day. LaRon Lindsay says it won't be a big change for his kids. He says it's important for middle school parents to be present.
They have a lot of things going on, and to be honest, I don't even call them kids, they're just little humans. So they have the same issues that we do, and we just need to be present.
The new policy allows high school students to use their phones during lunch and passing periods. Katie Anastas, KPBS News.
San Diego State will also welcome students back to campus next week. The university is making progress in building more housing in the college area, and thousands of new homes and apartments are on the way. Once again, here's KPBS education reporter Katie Anastas.
San Diego's community plans guide future development. The college area community plan hasn't been updated since 1989. City Planning Director Heidi Von Blum says it's become a good place to add housing.
There is a trolley line there, and the university, which did exist there in 1989, has really transitioned from a largely commuter school to a very vibrant residential campus.
30 years ago, San Diego State had room for about 2,100 students to live on campus. Now that number is about 8,500. University leaders say the demand for on-campus housing is still growing. And they say students who live on campus do better academically.
We know that our students have higher GPAs, quicker time to graduation, lower academic probation rates. So a higher student success factor compared to our students who live off campus.
San Diego State has 2 new residential buildings underway to help meet that demand. Together, they'll add more than 1,000 beds. Plans for another 3,000 beds are pending approval by the California State University Board.
What we're really trying to address here and to offer is financially competitive on-campus housing opportunities for our students, and to also address and meet the demand that we're seeing from our current student population.
The city is also planning for growth in the surrounding neighborhoods. A draft community plan would allow for about 18,000 new homes in the college area, mostly along Montezuma Road, College Avenue, and El Cajon Boulevard. A plan update allows the city to increase density. Building more homes would be up to property owners. A state assessment found that San Diego as a whole has to build 108,000 units by 2029 to meet its housing needs. Von Blum says they're about halfway there.
College area is one of several communities where we are looking at opportunities to accommodate that additional growth.
The city is hosting a Q&A session on the college area plan on August 21st. Members of the public can submit comments through September 7th. Katie Anastas, KPBS News.
Our Public Matters partnership recently published a series on housing in San Diego, looking at where it is and isn't being built. You can find those stories and an interactive map on our website. Just go to kpbs.org/whose backyard.
Join us for the inaugural KPBS San Diego Book Festival, presented by the University of San Diego on August 23rd. The Book Festival is a free event for book lovers of all ages. Participate in panel sessions and book signings with award-winning authors. Enjoy live entertainment and engage with exhibitors, including local authors, independent booksellers, and more. For the young at heart, check out the youth area with story times and hands-on activities. Meet PBS Kids' friends Clifford, Curious George, and Cat in the Hat. And learn the new 2025 One Book, One San Diego selected titles, debuted on the festival stage. The KPBS San Diego Book Festival is sponsored by these organizations. Save the date. You are booked on August 23rd. To learn more, visit kpbs.org/SD Book Festival.
Sign up for our newsletters for a list of our most popular stories. Here are some from this week. New safe parking lot frees the city of San Diego to push campers out of Mission Bay. Then, what we know about the ICE arrest of a parent outside of a Chula Vista elementary school. And San Diegans ask important questions about housing in a Reddit AMA. The Imperial Valley grows some of the sweetest sugar beets in the world, but this summer could mark the region's last harvest, as the valley's only processing plant for sugar beets prepares to close for good. KPBS Imperial Valley reporter Corey Suzuki says county officials have one last hope to keep the industry alive.
The beet is bigger than a football. It's oval and a dusty, gnarled brown. Ben Abadi III cradles it in his arm and slices it open, chopping through the beet's rough exterior and revealing a sweet white core.
And hopefully this is kind of what goes to the factory. Okay. Limit the amount of green that goes in there, and you just have a raw sugar beet.
We're standing in a field to the west of El Centro. Around us, rows and rows of leafy green sugar beets poke from the soil. Abadi's family has been farming here for generations. The Imperial Valley is one of the best places in the world to grow sugar beets. There's good soil and plenty of sunlight, and there's the Spreckels Sugar Factory, the last beet sugar processing plant in California, which turns beets into sugar by the truckload, right here in the valley.
I'll do this for you, and we can see how sweet it is. And you take a bite of it, you don't want to eat it, but it's still fairly sweet. You can taste the sugar.
But this could be the Imperial Valley's last sugar beet harvest. This year, the company that owns the Spreckels factory, Southern Minnesota Beet Sugar Cooperative, announced that they're planning to close it down and move their operations back to the Midwest. That means beet farmers in the valley will have nowhere for their crops to go.
We're already in an economy that's struggling a little bit, and to lose a major crop is not good news.
John Hawk chairs the Imperial County Board of Supervisors. He says more than 400 workers will lose their jobs at the Spreckels factory alone.
But more than what we lost as a county is what our unemployment figures will look like when you lose 400, 500 jobs. And it's not just losing those jobs. You look at all the outside jobs.
Hawk says the closure will also create broader ripples affecting truck drivers, equipment operators, and other workers who support the industry. That's a big deal in the Imperial Valley, a region which has the highest unemployment rate in the state and where agriculture is the second largest employer. To be clear, it's not that there won't be demand for sugar beets. The crop is huge in the United States. More than half of all the sugar made in the U.S. comes from sugar beets as opposed to sugar cane. The challenge is that the federal government places strict limits on the sugar market.
At least since the Great Depression and the Roosevelt administration, there have been public policies that have sought to protect or stabilize or maintain the prosperity of American agriculture.
Stephen Kafka is a retired agroecologist at UC Davis. He says the way it works is that the federal government gives out beet sugar allocations, or quotas, to a small number of specific sugar processing companies. And then those companies decide which farms get to grow sugar beets. Kafka says those policies are meant to support the economies of rural communities by giving U.S. industries an advantage over international competitors. But when a company like Southern Minnesota decides to consolidate its operations, that can hurt places like the Imperial Valley.
That's their intention now, is to close this factory and remove sugar production back to Minnesota. They are unwilling to sell the factory and the right to produce sugar to local interests.
A representative from Southern Minnesota did not agree to an interview with KPBS. In a statement, they said it was a difficult decision, but that the 100-year-old plant was too expensive to maintain. County officials aren't giving up on sugar beets yet. This summer, the Board of Supervisors went to Washington, D.C. to see if Congress would give them the rights to build a new sugar plant in the Imperial Valley. But they say it's going to be an uphill battle. Here's Hawk again.
When we went to Washington, the answer was it's going to be very tough. The sugar lobby is very, very controlled. They're not about to just give up market share.
Back in the Abadi family fields, Armando Gonzalez is getting ready for an afternoon shift. Gonzalez has been hauling sugar beets since he was 18. His family's company drives the trucks that catch beets from rumbling harvesters and carry them north to the Spreckles factory. His family has been working with the Abadis for over 40 years.
This is about 80% of my income. We're doing 50 loads a day, and from one day to the next, hey, there's not going to be any sugar beets next year. So this is huge.
Gonzalez says he's heard the rumors about the county's efforts to keep the sugar industry alive, but right now, that's not something he and his family can rely on.
Well, I'm going to try to stay busy hauling bottom dumps, construction, trucking, and whatever I can get, whatever I could do to, stay afloat. We'll see, day by day. Right now, I want a vacation after we finish this long, rough season, and then we'll see.
For now, Gonzalez says he's planning to finish out this year's harvest. After August, they'll see what comes next. In El Centro, Corey Suzuki, KPBS News.
He escaped gun and gang violence, and now a barber in Vista is trying to help young people do the same, while learning the trade and giving back to their community. KPBS North County reporter Tanya Thorne has this story of haircuts and healing.
Steve Jaimes grew up on the streets of Chicago.
I was always a follower of the wrong things. I would never say I was actively in a gang. I was just always around it.
When he was 17, he saw his friend die after their car got shot at.
I saw a hole in my friend's neck. I saw a hole in his side. I tried applying pressure, but it was of no good use. And yeah, for one blink of an eye, his life was gone.
That moment changed his life. He joined the Marine Corps the next year, which ultimately led him to Southern California.
I found lots of love and lots of structure, but I didn't find the healing that I was looking for.
But he did find healing in barbering.
A haircut is like medicine. It heals you. It uplifts you. In this case right now, a lot of men, this is the only thing they look forward to when it comes to their physical appearance and feeling better about themselves, right?
Jaime started barbering when he was 13, and now he's passing the skill on to other youth through a grassroots program he calls Humanity Barbers.
This is where everybody learns the skill of cutting hair, and they network with each other, they build camaraderie, right? Build community, and ultimately these are kids and some adults from like different neighborhoods here in North County, San Diego.
I wanted to cut hair, and I don't know, I was going through stuff.
Jaden Garcia is a freshman in high school. Before he started cutting hair, he wanted to follow his dad's footsteps and join a gang. But his father died, and 3 years ago, he met Jaimes.
He just told me not to be doing that stupid shit, and it's not cool. He just said to you want to learn how to cut hair?
Garcia became part of what's now the Humanity Barbers workshops. Then there's 18-year-old Nicolas Burabano from Colombia, who had looked into lessons but found them too expensive.
Estaba buscando como lugares donde enseñaran, pero en muchos te cobraban. Entonces, luego miré un video de Steve donde decía que eran clases gratuitas a las...
He says the workshop offers more than just classes.
No son como solo clases, sino que son como una familia ya. Es como, ya no lo ves como, oh, me da pereza ir ese martes, no. Antes quieres venir.
He says the group has become like family, and he looks forward to seeing the group each week. The group meets every Tuesday at Cali Clips Deluxe Barbershop in Vista to learn and practice cutting hair. But the space also keeps many of the youth out of trouble. Ramiro Diaz owns the barbershop.
I just let him do his thing, you know. I mean, because I know how hard it is, you know, to grow here and I mean, be a low income, you know, try to have a good opportunity in life, you know, to be somebody. I mean, it's hard to go to school and go to college and everything, you know. So I mean, this is a good start for them.
But the lessons go beyond learning barbering skills. They also pay it forward by cutting the hair of unhoused individuals on Wednesday mornings.
They learn a skill, they build stronger morals and values to be a better barber, but more so a better human, you know, leading with love, leading with compassion, with empathy for others. I hope that little by little, they gain a better understanding of what they are already accomplishing, because you don't hear about young individuals looking to help other people. They're sometimes focused on themselves.
And their vision extends beyond their own community.
These guys come from all these neighborhoods, and sometimes there's differences. And because of the energy that is built in this room, they understand what it is to let go of a lot of those things that you possibly were, that possibly were hindering you from creating a relationship with the guys right next block, you know?
They'd like to eventually unite different neighborhoods, visit foster care homes, juvenile facilities, or go on mission trips. For now, they are taking their skills on the road to barbering showcases and more outreach events. Jaimes hopes to raise money to help with transportation and more programs for the 40-plus youth he is currently mentoring.
Once they get to that age where they can truly fly in their greatest purpose, then they're gonna fly real high, so high that they're probably gonna make me look like the smallest bird, and I would be so happy and so proud to see that happen.
Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
A touching story there. We hope you enjoyed this look at KPBS News this week. I'm Jacob Ayer. Thank you for joining us.